the big mistake of that budget, the main thing that is missing is the housing crisis. The government said it's going to be healthcare and education. Well, one thing is missing, it's housing. It should be a priority. In the middle of the worst housing crisis in 40 years in Quebec, it should be a priority to build more homes. That budget has nothing new, nothing to build more homes for Quebecers. It's an unacceptable mistake. And of course, it's difficult not to see the other big missing piece, which is the environment. The next generation are going to deal with huge problems in Quebec regarding climate change. And the fact that that budget forgets completely that crisis is deeply disturbing for the future of Quebec. I'm going to give you one example. They announced a couple of $1 million to fight forest fires. Well, only last year, the forest fire cost us $200 million. So it's not enough.
It's not enough. What you would have liked to see, because you're not the only one criticizing the local government. Cities are also saying that there's nothing for public transit.
Well, of course, we need to do more to fight climate change, but we should already be preparing ourselves to adapt to climate change. That's why we were asking for a fund to fund climate adaptation and climate resilience in Quebec. And there should have been a specific aspect of that fund for the agriculture sector, which is hit violently by the climate catastrophes we've seen in Quebec in the last months. The other thing we should do is invest massively in public transit. Today, there has been not one new public transit project funded and launched by the Coalition Avenir Québec. Not one project across all Quebec. It's unacceptable.
And do you fear that the protests of farmers we've seen in Europe may come here like that? Because we had protests of farmers last week in Rimouski, for example.
How do you say détresse in English? How would you say distress? The distress is real. We're talking about people that are losing, that are seeing their revenues fall. No one would accept that without fighting back and without protesting. So if we don't want to see scenes like we've seen in Europe, we need to begin to take seriously the distress and the crisis in the agriculture sector in Quebec.